We now have our presentation from the Hope Group about the Hygiene Bank. So who's first up? Oh, Alan. Dun, dun, dun. Are you all up together?
On here?
Wherever.
Right. Excellent. Morning, all. Good to see you. So, team effort today, and we'll update you a bit on the Hygiene Bank. To give a bit of context, if you go back about 5 years, those of you with good memories, you'll recall that was the point when we were beginning to send out some missional communities. We were trying to think, how do we as the church do more to engage the needs in our community? How can we shift from a kind of an expectation that people will come in here for us to go out and to be more active and engaged in our community in Stony Stratford and beyond? And so what was the Sunday group that became the Hope Group began exploring and praying, well, what would you have us do, God? And there were 3 themes that were shaping our kind of focus as a group. How can we grow closer to God? How do we grow up in our relationship with him? How do we look in and deepen that sense of community as we walk in faith and work together? And then how do we reach out into our community? As we prayed and as we looked around, we were trying to see how would God have us use our time and our skills to best meet the needs around us. And that led us to the Hygiene Bank. So Ian's going to tell us a bit about how it started.
Morning. I've had some messages for the people online. They don't forgive you. As I always read the Bible, 2 things came on God's heart. One was, it's got a heart for the poor. So doing this, we've just been so privileged to see people that are in need, that have nothing, and we've been able to serve them, we've been able to help them, and it's just been amazing. So the heart for the poor is, that kind of meets that we're wanting to do. And the other thing that God has, he has a heart for people, for him to know them and for them to know him. And we've just been so privileged to work with a lot of people that have a heart to serve as well. So those 2 things together have just been worked so well together for the Hygiene Bank. So that's why we started it. And one of those amazing people that kind of get involved with everything and work it and sort it all out is the amazing Debbie, who I'm going to pass on to now, who really sorts it out, who says the slide's wrong.
No, we've got it on now. So, Ian, were you going to refer to these about how it looked at the beginning, or I can do it? Oh, hold it. No. I don't know this bit, yeah. I wasn't here.
Oh. Look at that. I'm good looking there, aren't I? Wow. So we launched the Hygiene Bank and we got involved with a few people and we ended up on, ITV or whatever. Did our launch and we had what's his name? Courtney Laws came and we did a great launch. And what we did is back of Just Tires at Old Stratford, there's a warehouse I managed, obviously owned it at the time. So now we've done a lease with Just Tires and we use the warehouse at the back of Just Tires to store our stuff. And that's our original kind of plan with all the bits and bobs on the floor, which is no longer because we have racking and everything. So do you want to, are you going to go through? Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm Debbie. So I don't think I'm known to many of you. I see a few friendly faces that I've known from people that have come along and helped us. Hi. So I have to say, I was a bit nervous about this, but you're very welcoming and it's a lovely environment to come into. So my nerves have gone down quite substantially while I've been sitting here. But bear that picture in mind that is shown there, because you'll see what the warehouse looks like now as we've moved along. So next slide. So here we are in 2025 and going strong. I've been with the Hygiene Bank now for about 3 years. We're currently a group of 16 registered volunteers with others that come along now and then to help out too, and some quite regularly, which is absolutely fantastic. We still run out of the warehouse in Old Stratford, as Ian said. It was very sparse in that photo, but we've definitely grown to fill the space, haven't we, Ian, with the amount of stock that we have. So that's been fantastic. And do you know about the community partners? Do you know how we operate? So to work with us and to receive goods from us, you have to register with head office as a community partner, and you have to meet quite strict criteria to do that. You have to be non-profit making. You don't have to be a charity, but they have very strict criteria for you to receive goods from the Hygiene Bank. So we currently have 30, and they are people that are on the front line dealing with hygiene poverty, and they are able to access products from us that, for the people that they come into contact with. So next slide. So these are the things we need. We welcome donations of all personal hygiene products. Our absolute staples that go out in all the bags are soap, shower gel, shampoo and deodorant, toothpaste and toothbrushes. But just as importantly, we collect domestic hygiene products, toilet rolls, washing up liquids, surface cleaners, that sort of thing. Because this isn't just about somebody's personal hygiene, it's about giving them the dignity of having a clean home and clean clothes as well. So that's our overall aim. Next slide. So these are the groups, the organisations that we now support. This has been growing over the years, and we were really passionate about the fact that, yes, we're based here in Old Stratford, but we need to cover the needs of everybody in Milton Keynes. And we do that through our family centres. You can see at the top, there are 10 family centres in Milton Keynes. Everyone is registered with us. So with the family centres, the Frank Moran Centre, King's Church, Wolverton Community Advice Centre, Spotlight at the Lakes. We cover Bletchley, Wolverton, all across the city. Every area of Milton Keynes has access to one of those centres. So there should be no family in Milton Keynes or the surrounding villages that can't go for advice. And with that advice, they can be offered help from us. And alongside that, we have some, well, you're on there now. You're on there because you are working to help the asylum seekers at Dean's Hanger. So you are one of our new community partners. But as you see, we've got the Bloodborne Disease Clinic at Milton Keynes Hospital because they're dealing with people marginalised in society, people that have diseases like HIV that marginalise them from the people around them. So they were really appreciative of the help we can give them too. And we help them in a number of ways. So if they want, they can have an emergency kit from us that we regularly top up on request. That means they can help somebody in the here and now. You need a toothpaste now. You don't need it tomorrow. You need a shampoo now. And they can deal with that immediately. And we will top those up. We run a referral system. So they can actually fill in a very easy form that they email to us. And we custom make a bag up for that family to meet the needs. It can have nappies in it, items for children, as well as the staples that we give out. And our volunteers pick and deliver that as quickly as we can, and we get it out to those centres. We never see the recipient of it. We don't know who they are. We wouldn't know if we met them in the street. All we see is an initial on a piece of paper and a postcode. So they're anonymous to us, but they're getting help from the people that work closely with them that they can learn to trust and have the courage to actually ask for some help. And another way that we do it is now bulk deliveries. So when we get large donations in and we know that we've covered all of our supplies we need for referral bags and top-ups, we offer out big donations in a bulk. Bedford Food Bank are recipients of that. So they might get 500 shower gels from us, and that means they can put them into their bags and help their community where they are too. So they're the three main ways that we get products out. Next slide. So this is where people like you come in. So we get brand donations from big companies like Unilever and Boots. So companies help us, and we get that in on a pallet. And we're very lucky at Milton, at the warehouse, that we've got a roller shutter door, and we can receive those big pallets. So that's really helpful to us. But from the public, we have a number of ways for them to give. We've got donation boxes like this in every Boots store that we periodically, regularly empty. We've got donation boxes. I think this is the church one, isn't it? So we've got donation boxes in churches, community centres, offices. Anybody that works somewhere where they think this would be a good place to put a donation box, please put your hand up and say, because we're happy. We make these boxes up and we're happy to drop them at any location. Events are held for us. So people have harvest festivals, offices bring a hygiene product day. Only last week, New Bradwell, WI, when they had their monthly meeting, they had a collection for us. So that was really, really, really good. And we could do donations through Common Good. We have a regular donator, I believe, from your church that gives in that way. That's an internet site where people can just go on, order something, pay for it, and it gets delivered directly to us. So they don't even have to leave their home to get it. And also monetary donations, so that we can go and purchase goods that we're low on that aren't coming in regularly through our donation boxes. Next slide. So this is how it looks now. This is how our warehouse looks now. I mentioned our volunteers picking. So you saw those trays on the floor. We're still using the trays. The picture on the left shows our pick face for all the personal hygiene products. So it's very quick for the volunteer to whiz along, popping the necessary things in the bag. The picture over here shows the pick face for our domestic goods. And on the floor down here, I bought a bag in for you to come and see. That's a standard that goes out in every referral bag to a family or an individual. So that's how our warehouse looks now. And beyond that are the big stacks of products that we are putting out as bulk items to some organisations. Next slide. And this is a little gem of ours that we absolutely love. What we've shown you is our day in, day out, week in, week out help for the community. But at Christmas, we make these lovely bags up. So all through the year, you'll be surprised the things that people put in a donation box that they think are essential. And they are absolutely not what we would call essentials. So we're very lucky to have an upstairs mezzanine area. We put all that stock up there. And we make bags up for people that are not going to get a gift at Christmas. And I think I can say for everybody that works with all the volunteers, it's a particular nice thing to do, isn't it? We really enjoy it. We really like distributing them and feeling that we're making a little bit of difference to somebody on that day. And last year we had our all-time record of 697 bags that we made up. If these, the lovely bags here for the ladies, we had a company in London that contacted us to say, we've got some wash bags if you'd like them, if you can come and get them. And we thought, oh, it's quite a long way to go. How much to deliver it? And then when they answered, they just said, no cost, we'll just deliver them to you. I mean, there are so many good people out there. There's so many people that want to make a difference. And so they were particularly special this year. Usually they're a brown paper bag with a bit of wrapping paper on the front. But this year they were particularly nice. Next slide. So we don't hear really from the people that we're giving to. And we don't look to hear from them. But quite often we do get remarks given to us from those people on the front line, those people that are handing those bags over, and those people that see the difference that bag can make. Only a couple of weeks ago when I was delivering to King's, a lady was getting a food parcel and she just said to me, this saved me last week. One of these red bags saved me last week. It just made all the difference. And actually, that's all you need to know. You know, this was started by your church, and it is going from strength to strength. And you should be very proud of that contribution you're making to your community, the difference you're making to those people that for whatever reason, maybe they've made poor choices, maybe life's dealt them a bad hand. When we rock up with that bag, it's a tiny, tiny little cog in what needs to happen for them. But in that moment, it makes a difference. And it gives somebody some heart. It makes people think that somebody cares. And that's what we're all about. I think that's my bit done, actually. I think I've said what I've got to say. What I would like to say is, on this board here, each month we pin up at the warehouse how many kilograms of goods we've sent out, because that's how head office monitor what we're giving out. And below we say how many referrals we've done, their individual bags, how many top-ups we've done to organisations, how many bulk deliveries we've done. And we are really shifting a lot of stuff. We've seriously upped our game, haven't we, Ian? We're seriously moving things up. But that's because there's a need out there. And when we're not needed, we won't be doing it. But at the moment, we are really needed. So I'll hand over to...
Thank you. So, as you can tell, we couldn't do what we do without Debbie. She's just incredible, and she's helped us to get everything sorted and keep going. So we thank you, Debbie, for that. Yeah. So part of my job at Old Stratford Primary School is to develop further links with the community and try and get the school involved in what's going on in our local area. So it's quite handy that the warehouse is based in Old Stratford, and so we can just walk the children to the warehouse and get involved. And so I just invited one of our classes to come one day and said, we'd like to come and see what we're doing at the warehouse. And they came along and they helped us for an hour or so. And they absolutely loved it. And I mentioned to them that we meet on our second Sunday to sort out the donations. And if any of them would like to come with their parents, they could come along and help. And we've actually had a few families who've been really committed and are inviting other people to come along, which has been great. So yeah, it's kind of growing like that, and the children love coming. So we have a box like this in our school, and the children bring donations, and we let the parents know about it. And so they troop up to the school with their little shampoos and soaps, and then they help to put it all away, and Debbie finds them jobs to do, and they get through the job so quickly that she's trying to find more jobs for them because they're so willing. But it's been a really great thing to be involved with as a school, and it's good for the children really to help children that are worse off than they are. So yeah, it's all been good.
Well, thank you. Can we give the team a round of applause? It is a real team effort, and I hope you're encouraged by that little glimpse into what God has been doing and what started from here as just praying into what would you have us do, God? What are the needs? And then who could you bring to help grow to meet those needs? And it's been remarkable just over the last four and a bit years to see how that has grown. I don't know if you're able to read those little statements of impact, but just to recognize the difference that a little gift, a little small bag that is there to support, how much of a difference that can make. And actually, when you look at the scale of impact now and you take the average over the last 6 months, it's more than a ton of resources that are going out to those that are really in a difficult place in our community. So for us to be able to meet the needs of those who are poor, for us to offer something that's a little glimpse of God's love to those that are vulnerable is a real privilege, and we've got a remarkable team. We're very blessed. So we'd love for your prayers ongoing. We'd love for your support. Lots of ways that you can get involved. If you'd like to come and volunteer, you can do that. You can come and check us out on a second Sunday and come and help out at the warehouse. You can get more involved and become volunteer number 17 or 18 as we grow the team. And as Debbie mentioned, we've seen it scaling up, particularly over this last year. So we are looking to grow the team, and we've started to develop teams within the overall team to meet specific areas of need so that we can be good stewards in how we use time to best meet the needs that are there. And obviously we're working alongside a lot of community partners and keen to make sure that we are in the right places and getting the goods to those that need them most. So do have a little look at some of the figures up here and have a look at the stuff in the bag. We've got a moment or two if you've got any questions. We think Debbie's probably the one with the answers, but if you do have any questions, you've got a chance now. Probably.
Just a quick scavenge. I mean, some great people like Debbie. You must come and meet them. They're fantastic. Debbie's just an amazing tip of the iceberg. But I just need to scavenge something. I've done a deal with Amazon, and I pick up from them once a month from their distribution centre in Dunstable all their returns, hygiene returns, which is quite a lot. And I have to scavenge a transit van once a month. So if anybody knows somebody with a transit van, or they've got a transit van, please talk to me, because it's a real pain trying to find one once a month. Okay.
Thanks, Ian. Yes. We can. We don't tend to do a lot with leaflets. We've got a little website, but we have got some.
To promote the hygiene bank, or to promote... we've actually are just setting up some groups because we've realised we've really got to grow some of the areas, and one of them is sort of social media marketing, that sort of thing. We've grown slowly because we've had to make sure we've added a couple of extra community partners in, and then we've made sure we can accommodate them, because we don't want to say to somebody, oh yeah, we can help you, then actually we've got no stock to do it. So we've been quite measured in how we've taken people on to make sure then we can meet those needs, and not feel like we're letting people down.
I can think of two sets of people. One goes to an Anglican church nearby, just to have a collection box. Another family, most of the family, go to a Baptist church down in Bletchley, other end of the city. Again, just to be interested and have a collection box.
I think part of what we're doing today is a way of, can we spread the word? And somebody like you spreading that word to those people. They need just to know our website, our email address, because that's monitored every day. And if somebody says we can have a box or we can do something, that will be responded to almost immediately. So yeah, we'll bear that in mind, what you've said, and we'll just see if we can get the word out to others. But as a member of the church, then let Ian, let Alan know where those places are, and maybe we can reach out to them, do it the other way as well, if that works. Does that sound good?
Great. Yep, thank you. We've just formed a new communications team this week, so we can pick that up with them. But if you speak to Belinda, it sounds like she's got a few that you could have already. So, great, good. Any other questions, comments? We'll keep it moving. Back to you. Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome. Thank you. Lots of food for thought. Now we're coming on to our testimony time. And when you give a testimony, can you bear in mind that this is going out online? So to keep names anonymised, please. Now the first one will be Stuart, who's going to talk about the asylum seekers, I believe.
I'll take this because it's easier than adjusting all that lot. So I've been updating you during these 4th Sundays about where we're at with the group of asylum seekers at Dean's Hanger. Everything has blown up in the last 24 hours or so. I think I said last time that there was an issue before Christmas with some of the men were hanging around in the village, and there were some accusations that were made about them taking photos of children and things like that. The police looked into it and found no evidence of anything like that, and it seems that it was people just reacting out of fear because they felt threatened by the presence of some men there. And there were some reporters who were sniffing around at the time, but nothing happened until yesterday, when the Daily Express ran a story all about this terrible situation in Deanshanger. And that has thrown up in the community in Deanshanger a whole load of angst and issues. And you think, well, why did they wait till yesterday to share that story? Well, in the news this week, there has been a big story about what happened in Southport. It seems that they've sat on it, waiting for all of that stuff to be high profile, and then they've released this story. And so the comments that you will see on social media in the Deanshanger groups are, well, this could be another Southport waiting to happen. It's not helped by the fact that Elon Musk managed to jump on it as well and has reshared it. It's got a reasonably high profile at the moment. So I want to ask, first of all, that we keep on praying for Deanshanger, praying for the men who are in the hotel. There's a lot of angst, a lot of fear of what they might be up to. It's unfounded, but the fear is there nonetheless. So please just continue to pray for peace. I want to update you on some of the things that we're doing. On Friday, I had a meeting with a couple of people from Deanshanger who are interested in trying to do something to help with the men. And they really want to look at how they can build bridges between the hotel and the local community. And so I'm just having conversations with them, trying to help them with some of the ideas and some of their thoughts about it and supporting them in that. But that, as you can see, is desperately needed, because whilst those bridges aren't there, it just feeds into this environment and this atmosphere of fear. I'm also continuing to work on providing bicycles for the men, and where we're up to with that is hopefully in the next few weeks we will be able to provide 20 bikes for the men. I have the offer of those, and it's really logistics now to get everything in place to make it happen. First of all, I need to get some bike racks and get those put in place. And once those are done, then we can get the bikes delivered, and there will be safety kits with those as well. So there'll be 20 sets of helmets, lights and locks to go with the bikes. And I just think that's really important that we get that in place for them, because where they are, they're isolated. It's not particularly nice weather at the moment. So they're limited as to where they can go, but at least if they have bikes, it might encourage some of them just not to hang around in the locality where it's feeding into this fear. And the way that we're doing this is I asked the trustees if they were willing to put the money up that we needed to provide the bikes, but I am applying for grants so that money will be paid back to the church. But the trustees have put the money up front so that we can make this happen and get it in place. So a few logistical things, but I'm hoping in the next 2-3 weeks that will be there and they'll be able to use them. The other thing that I mentioned, and I've said a few times now, is about running a drop-in here to give these guys somewhere as a change of scene, somewhere to go that's warm, that's safe, that there's a few things for them to do. If we're going to do that, I do need some volunteers. And there's a few people who are thinking about it, a few people who said, yes, we can do that. I still need a few more. I especially need a few guys. So if that's something that you think you can help with, I would love to hear from you. We're exploring the possibility of doing alternate weeks to the Memory Club on a Monday afternoon. So it'll be sort of 3 till 5 type of time. If that might be something you can help with, I would love to hear from you. We're continuing talking at the hotel, just trying to help and encourage. We want to build the relationships with the guys. I mean, that's part of what we want to do. It's great that some things will be happening in Dean's Hangar, but they're really just at an idea stage. They're maybe going to do something on a Thursday as a drop in there. And we're trying to encourage some links with the community through sports and some of the clubs and things that go on there already. And there's even talk of an allotment and getting an allotment project going where the men can get involved alongside some people from Dean's Hangar, and hopefully these bridges will just help quell some of the fear that's there. So I think that's basically where we're up to. Debbie was asking me again this morning, is there anything else that the men need from a hygiene bank point of view? I'm just waiting to hear. But that's where we're at. So thank you, and I think that's me done.
That's a lot to think about and pray about with regarding Dean's Hangar. But God is more than able to sort that situation out, and we pray that that will happen. Now we've got time for one or two testimonies, and I'm looking forward to hearing what people have been doing or what's been happening with them during the last few weeks. So, who's up first? Ooh. Oh, silence. Ah, lovely. Thank you, Chris.
Well, what I'm going to share with you is not something that's happened in the last few weeks. It's a little bit more long-standing than that. So, how many of people here have actually sought and received prayer for healing? Just give us a quick show of hands. Okay. And thank you very much. And now, have you all received that healing? Yeah. Some have, some haven't. And I don't know whether I'm the only one, but there's a certain expectation, isn't it, that if God's going to heal you, it's got to be, a miraculous. He heals you there and then when you come forward. And of course, that would be absolutely wonderful. And Jesus demonstrated that on many, many occasions. However, that's not our experience. And yet, what I wanted to share with you this morning was that some people around here will know the story. I've had a back problem for longer than I can care to remember. So I have a device in my garage which I hang upside down, a little bit like a bat. So, and it basically decompresses the kind of squashed discs at the base of my spine. And it's kept me so that I've never had a day off because of back pain for the whole of my working life, for which I'm very grateful. But the trouble with having something for a long time is you can get a little bit blasé about it, a little bit careless. And on the 3rd of January, 2023, I went into my garage, as I would normally do in the morning. I clamped my feet into basically it's an inversion table. So you clamp your feet and then you put your arms above your head and it tilts so you're hanging vertically by your feet with your head approximately 8 inches distance from the concrete floor. And on this occasion, I didn't quite clamp my feet in properly. And essentially what happened is I dropped my full body weight onto my head, onto a concrete floor. And I don't know what fraction of a second it took for me to drop that distance, but I can tell you every conceivable outcome went through my mind in that split second. Everything from complete paraplegia to worse than that. I could have killed myself effectively. And I was very shocked, as you can imagine. And I lay there for a while, And then I got up kind of still shocked and was relieved that everything seemed to be working okay. And I didn't have any tenderness on my head. I just had a pain between my shoulder blades. And Joe was obviously very concerned that I didn't have some kind of subdural hematoma, which kind of bleed into the brain. But I was confident that I felt absolutely okay apart from the shock until the next morning. And then I couldn't move my neck. I had to move my whole body, really. And so I thought, well, I'm a physiotherapist. I know what to do about this. I'll move the heck out of it. And that's what I did. And I moved it in every single direction, and getting it as much moving as I could. And there was some improvement, but essentially I could move about that much and that much. And every time I'd been looking down or trying to play my guitar, I had to go physically with my hand to lift my head up. So 9 months in, I'd had lots of people, or not say lots of people, 2 or 3 people who'd prayed for me when I'd gone forward, and I experienced the presence of God as they prayed for me. And, I'd love to have said, well, it was, brilliantly better, but it was maybe a little bit better, And 9 months in, I'd had an MRI scan, and it had shown that I had a massive disc protrusion at the top of my neck. I went to see a spinal surgeon, and they said, you haven't got any neurological signs. That means you haven't got any weakness in your arms. So, we don't want to, there's too much risk with this for the benefit. So we're not going to do anything. So what happened was that I just kept on trusting God and kept on doing, moving it and doing all those things. And then probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I thought, do you know what? It feels I've got no significant problem in my neck. Yeah, it's not 100%. I can move it a lot better than I could before. I no longer have to do this. I can play my guitar. I can now sleep back on my front, which I couldn't do for over 18 months. So what I want to do is just to thank God and to give him glory for the fact that he heals us in different ways. Sometimes it's miraculous and straight away. Sometimes it's more like my experience. And sometimes it's complete, and sometimes it's not quite complete. But I'm just sharing that with you to encourage you, whatever it is. If you've been forward for prayer, it doesn't matter, once, twice, 6, I don't mind. But God will meet with you every single time. And he tells us to keep on believing him for that healing and to keep on asking. And you will see the goodness of God in the land of the living, as David said. So just to encourage you, keep on looking for God to do good things in your life. God doesn't guarantee that he will answer the prayers that we asked, but I take comfort in the fact that God answers all the prayers that we would have asked, that we would have asked him if we knew what he knows. So that helps me.
I think that's an invitation for people to come forward for healing, those who haven't been healed yet, to persist, and maybe in the worship time to come forward for healing. And there'll be people who can pray with you, unless, of course, you want to sit with somebody at your side who you trust and who can pray for you and with you. Now, any more testimonies? Dun, dun, oh, lovely.
At the risk of sounding like Maria from The Sound of Music, I listened to all of this, everything about the hygiene bank, what Chris has said, and it really does make my heart sing. And that was something that Ruth mentioned before about remembering the joy and celebrating and remembering what God has done and what he's doing. And when I think about the Hope Group and the journey that they've been on, it was not without its challenges. But they listened, they heard, they prayed, they stepped out. What a wonderful thing happened. And when we look at the fruit of that, wonderful things are still happening and moving. When I listen to Stuart and about we now have another opportunity, an invitation to use our gifts, and every single one of us, without exception, has a gift because the Lord's placed it there. Scripture tells us that. He's placed something within us that we can step out. And last week we had an evening of prayer and worship. It was our normal evening of prayer and worship. And so the invitation went out. Not everybody heard it or seen it, but the invitation went out. So those of us that gathered brought forth their listening, the fruit of their listening in prayer. They'd been praying, and in prayer they brought forth the fruit of their listening. And we in the prayer team, and with Judy, who's gathering prophetic words, she's taking note of all the prophetic words. So we will be feeding them back to you, the fruit of what's been heard. But the common denominator in all of it, one is obviously prayer. Not a big, there's nothing about, this is the way you pray. None of that. It's about turning to God and saying, just show me, what have I got in me personally? And the other thing that I heard from the Hope Group is they gathered together. And it reminds me of that phrase that it's one of my favourite phrases now. It is in the community of each other that people live. We are a community, and we're seeking to help those on the outside who feel on the edge, like these asylum seekers. And it's a word of encouragement to all of us. Even the tiniest little thing can make a big difference. One little thing that any of us can give. And I know, being part of this congregation, when we see, as we do always, the fruit of the tiniest little thing that somebody can do, great things can come out of that. And I wanted to say, Chris, I have had miraculous healing as a result of prayer before. I'm still waiting for it with these cloth ears at the minute. I haven't lost faith. It will come in some way. I'll be able to hear better. But I want to, the joy that I feel at the minute is just to thank all of you, because we are a community. And we welcome people in. And just let your heart sing, because we have a lot to sing about. There are bad things in the news, and people distort and change, but we have a great cause to celebrate. Our God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit moving among us. So thank you to all of you, and be expectant for the next bit. Amen to that.
Right, Juliet's coming up to share.
I had some surgery a little while ago, and I'm now allowed to drive. And I was very excited about this. I managed 5 minutes out and 5 minutes back. And then 2 weeks ago, it was time to go to my group, which is in Old Stratford. And I'm a bit of a worrier. I'm also an overthinker. And I lay in bed before that night thinking, I know the route, I know the right route to go, the easiest one. And the day came and I thought, oh, I can't do it. And I so didn't want to ask Peter because he was doing his art group. It's very inconvenient for him to come and catch me and take me to group. So I spoke to a midwife friend beforehand, which was a bad thing to do because she said, oh, no, don't do that. Get a taxi, you might have an accident. You know, I'd already thought of all of these things all on my own, and then there was somebody telling me. And I thought, no, I'm not not having this. So Peter came back. I said, can you just pray for me before I step in the car because I've got to do it. So he did. I got in the car and I was shaking and I thought, oh my goodness me, can't be shaking and driving along the road. So I thought, I'm going to speak in tongues. So I started speaking in tongues. And then, before I knew it, I was singing in tongues. That was great too. But it kept my mind on something that was spiritual and positive, while the automatic part of me that knew how to drive and where I was going was working also. And then all of a sudden, I was going along the A5D and I thought, there's a new language coming. I didn't recognize the language. And it was just really, really lovely. And I don't know what tune it was, but it was a form of singing. And then I got there and I just felt so lifted up. I felt completely carried because Jesus had carried me and the Holy Spirit had been in there driving with me. And then on the way home, I thought, I'm going to do this again. This is really nice. And I did it again. And I got so carried away. I did have my eyes open all the time. But I got so carried away that I was over the other side of Milton Keynes. So a few miles from my home, so I had to turn around and come back. But can I just say that last Sunday, we had a time where we were really sensing the Holy Spirit. And I remember Stuart saying, put your hands open and ask for those of you who speak in tongues, do that. And for those of you that don't, but that would like to, ask God to give you the language. And that's the reason I wanted to say. The point I wanted to make was, ask God to give you the language. It's so, so powerful. And he just takes over. We don't know what we're saying, but it is just such a beautiful sense of the Holy Spirit just walking beside us, driving beside us, whatever it is that we need, he gives you that amazing strength. And I just needed it so much. So, it's great fun.
Thank you, Juliet. That was lovely. So again, in our time of worship, it feels like pray for more healing. For those of you who don't speak in tongues and would like to be praying for that. And it's amazing to do. And Chris was saying about gifts of the Spirit. To pray for if there's a particular gift that you're wanting and haven't received yet, to ask the Lord, have your hands open as we're praying and as we're singing.